Monica stepped into the boutique, her heels clicking on the polished marble floor as she glanced around at the elegant displays of high-end dresses. The boutique was exactly what she had imagined, luxurious, with carefully curated clothing and accessories. It felt like the perfect place to find a dress for the upcoming gala she had been invited to. She was excited, not just for the event, but for the chance to treat herself. After weeks of hard work and long hours building her business, she felt she deserved something special. Monica was proud of what she had accomplished. She had worked her way up from modest beginnings to becoming the CEO of a successful luxury lifestyle brand. It had taken grit, determination, and a lot of self-belief. But as soon as she stepped inside, something felt off. The two saleswomen behind the counter exchanged a look when they saw her. Monica didn't think much of it at first, focusing instead on the beautiful gowns and elegant lighting. She made her way to the first display, feeling a sense of peace wash over her as she ran her fingers along the fabrics. But the moment didn't last long. "Can I help you, ma'am?" one of the saleswomen, Victoria, asked. She had a cold, almost dismissive tone. Monica turned and smiled politely. "Yes, I'm looking for a dress for a gala. Something elegant and classy." Victoria glanced her over quickly, her eyes lingering on Monica's outfit, which, though nice, wasn't as flashy as the boutique's usual clientele. Monica wore a simple but elegant black dress, paired with a leather jacket and flats, a look that was understated but chic. "I'm not sure we have anything in your size," Victoria said, her voice lacking warmth. Monica's smile faltered for a moment, but she quickly regained her composure. "I'm sure you have something that will fit. I'd love to take a look." The second saleswoman, Ashley, who had been standing nearby, chimed in. "It's not about size," she said, her voice dripping with condescension. "It's more about the type of customer we usually serve. You might be better off at another store." Monica froze for a moment, trying to process what had just happened. Was she hearing this right? She had been treated with respect in many places, no matter where she was from or what she wore. But here, these women seemed to assume something about her that simply wasn't true. Taking a deep breath, Monica refused to let their behavior get under her skin. She smiled again, her tone still friendly. "I'd still like to try on a few dresses, if that's okay." Ashley and Victoria exchanged another look, then reluctantly gestured toward a small section of the store. "Go ahead," Ashley said, barely hiding her irritation. Monica walked toward the racks, but the sting of their words didn't leave her. As she sifted through the beautiful gowns, a mix of emotions bubbled up inside her: hurt, anger, and confusion. Why were they being so rude? What did her appearance or background have to do with the clothes she was choosing? She had never let anyone's assumptions define her. But this time, something was different. Something about their treatment felt personal. It wasn't just about her clothing or her appearance. It was about them assuming she didn't belong there. Monica knew she could leave, find another store, and forget about it. But she wasn't the kind of person to back down when faced with unfairness. She would make sure they knew that their behavior wouldn't go unnoticed. She gathered a few of the most beautiful dresses she could find and walked toward the fitting rooms. It was time to show them that they had made a mistake. Monica entered the fitting room with a sense of determination. She had chosen a few dresses, each one more beautiful than the last, with delicate fabrics and intricate designs. As she hung them on the hook and turned to look in the mirror, she could feel her frustration building. The rude treatment she had received was hard to ignore. These saleswomen had no idea who she was or what she had achieved in her life. She tried to shake off the feeling. After all, this was supposed to be a fun shopping experience, not one filled with negativity. Monica's business was doing well. She had earned every success with hard work, long nights, and sacrifice. Yet here she was, being judged based on nothing more than her appearance. As she slipped into the first dress, a deep red floor-length gown, she caught a glimpse of the saleswoman standing near the counter, speaking in hushed voices. Victoria and Ashley hadn't even tried to hide their looks of surprise when they saw Monica walk in. They assumed she wouldn't be able to afford the clothes here, and their attitude had made that clear. She stepped out of the fitting room, hoping to see a better reaction this time. But as soon as she emerged, Ashley's eyes scanned her from head to toe with a dismissive glance, and Victoria barely looked up from her phone. "Well?" Monica asked, trying to keep her voice steady. Victoria looked at her with a smirk. "It's a nice dress, but it's just not you." Ashley added quickly, "Yeah, it doesn't really fit the look you're going for. We don't carry anything like that for people with, well, your style." Monica felt the sting of their words again, but this time, she didn't let it show. She nodded politely, even though inside she was seething. How dare they judge her so harshly based on nothing but their own assumptions? She had been polite, respectful, and confident, yet their behavior made her feel like she didn't even belong in the store. Rather than leaving, she picked out another dress, a soft, shimmering silver gown. This time, when she stepped out, she hoped for a different response. But instead of admiration, the saleswoman barely glanced up. Their indifference was almost worse than their earlier comments. Ashley slowly looked over, barely raising an eyebrow. "It's nice, I guess, but we really don't think it's the right fit." Monica clenched her jaw, but forced herself to stay calm. It was clear now that they weren't just dismissing her choices, they were dismissing her entirely. She didn't have to take this. She had the option to walk out, to go to another boutique, where people would treat her with the respect she deserved. But something about this felt different. She had been humiliated, and she wasn't about to let that slide without teaching them a lesson. Her anger was growing, but Monica didn't let it take over. Instead of lashing out, she took a deep breath. She wasn't going to let their ignorance ruin her day or her sense of self. She would show them that their words didn't define her, and that she had far more to offer than they could ever imagine. With a calm smile, Monica returned the dresses to the rack, thanked the saleswoman, and turned to leave. She knew that this wasn't the end. This was just the beginning of a plan that would teach them respect. After all, some people needed to learn the hard way that kindness and respect were far more important than their narrow views. But as she walked out of the boutique, the feeling of humiliation still burned inside her. She knew she wouldn't forget this moment, and she was determined to make sure the saleswoman never forgot it either. Monica walked down the street, her mind racing. The cool afternoon air felt refreshing against her skin, but inside, she was still fuming. What had just happened in that boutique? She was used to challenges and obstacles in her life, but the way those saleswomen treated her felt like a slap in the face. She didn't let it show, though. She knew better than to let her emotions take control. Instead, she walked a few blocks and decided to take a seat at a small cafe nearby to clear her head. She chose a quiet corner by the window, the warm sunlight spilling across the table in soft streams. Monica ordered a coffee and waited for it to arrive, her thoughts still swirling. She replayed the entire encounter in her mind, the cold looks, the dismissive words, and the constant assumption that she didn't belong. The more she thought about it, the angrier she became. How could anyone treat another human being that way, especially when they knew nothing about the person standing in front of them? Monica had been through too much in her life to let this pass. Growing up, she had faced plenty of challenges, many of which had tested her resilience and strength. Her family didn't have much, but they had taught her the value of hard work, respect, and kindness. She wasn't about to let two strangers' narrow-minded views define who she was. As she stirred her coffee, an idea began to form. What if she could turn this situation into something positive? What if she could show these women, and anyone else who might think the same way, that treating people with disrespect had consequences? Monica wasn't just going to forget about what happened. She was going to make sure the saleswoman learned an important lesson, a lesson they would never forget. She thought about her business, her career, and the people she worked with. As the CEO of a successful luxury lifestyle brand, Monica had built a reputation for being professional, kind, and inclusive. Her business was thriving, and she knew how to build relationships with people, no matter their background. That was what mattered, not the way people looked or the assumptions others made about them. She had earned everything she had, and it was time to remind those saleswomen of the power of respect. Monica smiled to herself as her plan began to take shape. She wasn't going to confront them angrily or make a scene. That wasn't her style. Instead, she would do something clever, something that would get their attention and show them how wrong they were. It would be a lesson in humility, one they would never forget. She took a deep breath and relaxed, the anger inside her slowly fading away as excitement replaced it. This wasn't just about getting back at two rude saleswomen. It was about standing up for herself and for anyone else who had ever been judged unfairly. Monica knew the power of turning a negative situation into something positive. She had done it before, and she was ready to do it again. The plan was set. It was time to go back to that boutique, but this time, she wasn't walking in alone. She had a feeling that when she returned, Victoria and Ashley would see her in a whole new light, and she was ready for it. Monica sat back in her chair, feeling the weight of the decision she was about to make. The plan was simple, but it would take a bit of time to execute perfectly. She knew it wouldn't be long before she would return to that boutique. Only this time, it would be on her terms. But before she set her plan into motion, she reflected on everything that had brought her to this point. Monica didn't come from a life of luxury or privilege. She was raised in a small, modest neighborhood where opportunities weren't handed out easily. Her parents worked hard every day, teaching her the value of perseverance and humility. They weren't wealthy, but they made sure Monica knew that hard work and dedication were what would take her far in life. They made sacrifices, giving Monica the chance to attend a better school, one that would help her reach her full potential. They always believed in her, and that belief fueled her determination. Growing up, Monica was always the one who could see the bigger picture. She was good with people, with understanding their needs and connecting with them. She knew how to listen and how to build relationships. But even with all her natural talents, she faced obstacles, just like everyone else. There were people who doubted her, who thought that a girl from her background couldn't possibly make it in a competitive world. Monica had faced discrimination before, but she never let it stop her. She had learned early on that the only thing that mattered was how hard you worked and how much you believed in yourself. After finishing college, Monica started working at a small marketing firm. It wasn't glamorous, but it was where she gained the skills and experience she needed. She worked long hours, often staying late to perfect presentations or meet deadlines. She learned how to juggle multiple projects at once, how to negotiate, and how to turn challenges into opportunities. It wasn't easy, but it was through that hard work that she built her reputation as a reliable and innovative worker. As time went on, Monica's hard work paid off. She was offered a chance to lead a new initiative at the firm, and that was when her career truly took off. Monica seized the opportunity, and soon she was promoted to a managerial position. But she didn't stop there. She had bigger dreams, dreams of starting her own business. She knew it wouldn't be easy, but with the skills she had honed and the network she had built, she felt ready. So Monica took the leap. She started her luxury lifestyle brand from scratch, pouring all her energy into making it a success. The journey was difficult. There were sleepless nights, many sacrifices, and plenty of setbacks along the way. But Monica's perseverance never wavered. Slowly but surely, her brand grew, gaining recognition for its high-quality products and exceptional customer service. She made sure that her business reflected the values she had always held dear: respect, inclusivity, and excellence. As Monica looked out the cafe window, watching the world go by, she couldn't help but feel proud of how far she had come. She had faced countless challenges, but she had always overcome them. She knew the power of resilience, and that power had carried her through every obstacle in her path. She had built her business from the ground up. She had earned her place at the table, and now she was going to make sure that two saleswomen at a boutique learned the lesson of a lifetime. Monica wasn't just a successful entrepreneur. She was someone who believed in herself, and no amount of judgment would ever change that. It was time for her to return and show those saleswomen exactly what she was made of. The following day, Monica made her way back to the boutique with a different purpose in mind. This time, she wasn't walking in as a customer simply hoping to find the perfect dress. She was returning as someone who had built something from the ground up, a successful entrepreneur with the confidence to take on whatever came her way. She had planned this moment carefully. Monica wasn't just walking in alone. She had brought her assistant, Emma, and an unexpected guest, Vanessa, a high-profile celebrity who had been one of Monica's most loyal clients. Vanessa was known for her impeccable taste, and her presence in the boutique would surely turn some heads. Monica knew it would make an impact. She wasn't there to shop for herself. She was there to send a message. As she stepped into the boutique, she immediately noticed the difference in the atmosphere. The shop seemed more alive today, with a few customers browsing and the soft hum of music filling the air. The two saleswomen, Victoria and Ashley, were still at the counter, but their attitudes were completely different this time. They had no idea who Monica was, but they instantly put on their most professional smiles when they saw Vanessa and Emma enter behind her. Victoria greeted Vanessa with an overly enthusiastic tone. "Good afternoon, miss. It's an honor to have you here. We have a new collection of gowns in the back that we think you'll love." Vanessa smiled politely, but it was clear she wasn't interested in the sales pitch. She turned to Monica, who was calmly looking through the racks of dresses, as though nothing out of the ordinary had happened. Monica's face remained neutral, but in her mind, she was already in control. Victoria and Ashley's attention quickly shifted to Monica, who now stood confidently at the center of the boutique. Their smiles were no longer forced. They had become nervous, unsure of how to proceed. They had no idea who she was, but they knew that someone who walked in with a celebrity and her assistant had to be someone important. After a few minutes of polite but brief conversation, Vanessa turned to Monica and said, "I think you should help me choose a few pieces. I trust your judgment." Monica nodded, not missing a beat. She walked over to the racks of luxurious gowns and began selecting a few pieces. The saleswoman watched closely, trying to keep up with her as she effortlessly picked out the most exquisite pieces. As Monica held up each dress, she described it with knowledge and authority. She didn't just know fashion. She knew how to understand what people needed, and that was what made her so successful. The saleswomen were clearly taken aback. They had seen many clients come through the doors, but no one had ever walked in with such calm authority. Monica wasn't just showing Vanessa dresses. She was demonstrating her expertise, and her confidence was palpable. They had underestimated her the day before, but now it was clear they had made a huge mistake. As Monica held up a sparkling blue gown, she turned to Victoria and Ashley. "This one will look stunning on her," Monica said, all while maintaining a poised and professional demeanor. The saleswoman nodded awkwardly, clearly realizing that they were out of their depth. Monica wasn't just proving her fashion knowledge. She was making a statement. The saleswoman might have treated her poorly before, but they were now faced with the undeniable reality that she wasn't someone to be judged by her appearance. Monica had earned everything she had, and she wasn't going to let anyone make assumptions about her again. With every dress she chose, Monica could feel the saleswoman's discomfort growing. They had no choice but to show respect. But this wasn't just about dresses. It was about the power of understanding, self-worth, and treating others with kindness, no matter their background. Monica's calm demeanor spoke volumes, and she knew that this was only the beginning of showing Victoria and Ashley that they had been wrong. Monica could feel the shift in the atmosphere. The saleswomen, once dismissive, were now nervous and trying their best to stay professional. As she carefully picked out dresses for Vanessa, the tension in the room was thick. Monica's calm confidence was impossible to ignore, and she could see how the saleswomen were starting to realize their mistake. She chose a few more gowns, each one more stunning than the last, as Vanessa tried them on in the fitting room. Monica's assistant, Emma, stayed by her side, quietly observing. But as the saleswoman hovered nearby, waiting for Monica to make a final decision. She knew it was time to drop the bombshell. Monica knew exactly what she was doing, and it wasn't just about buying a dress for Vanessa. It was about sending a message, not just to the saleswoman but to everyone in the boutique who might have thought that someone like her didn't belong in such a luxurious store. She wanted them to understand that judgment based on appearance or assumptions was not only unfair, it could be costly. Vanessa had finished trying on a few gowns, and she looked stunning in every single one. Monica smiled at her, feeling proud of the choices she had made. "You look amazing in every piece," she said with genuine enthusiasm. "You can't go wrong with any of these." Vanessa laughed, nodding. "You always know how to pick the best ones. I'm so glad you're here." It was the perfect moment. Monica knew that now was the time to reveal exactly who she was. She turned to Victoria and Ashley, who had been silently observing, their earlier arrogance now replaced by a tense curiosity. "I'm glad you've been able to help us today," Monica began, her voice calm but firm. "But I should tell you something. The reason I'm here isn't just because I wanted to buy a dress for Vanessa. I'm actually the owner of a luxury lifestyle brand, and my company has been in the market for a new boutique partner. We've been looking to expand our network of stores, and today I wanted to see if this boutique could be a potential fit." Victoria and Ashley froze, their faces draining of color. They had no idea who Monica was when she first walked in. They had assumed she was just another ordinary customer, someone they could treat with indifference. But now, they were learning the hard way that they had underestimated her. Monica continued, her voice steady. "I've been carefully looking for stores that understand what it means to treat all customers with respect. After the way I was treated yesterday, I don't think this store is the right fit for my brand. That's a shame because your boutique has potential, but your attitude towards people like me, well, that's something I can't overlook." She let the words sink in as she watched the realization spread across their faces. Victoria and Ashley both looked at each other, guilt and embarrassment flashing in their eyes. They had never expected anything like this. Monica had been the last person they had imagined would be in the position to make such a decision. But Monica wasn't done. "I'll be purchasing these gowns today, but not for me," she said. "I will be buying them for my boutique to carry as part of an exclusive collection. I've already spoken to the owner of a high-end boutique in the area, and we'll be adding these pieces to our inventory. I'm sure they'll be very popular with my customers." The saleswoman stood in stunned silence, unable to respond. They had no idea how to handle the situation. The power had shifted, and they now understood the consequences of their actions. Monica turned to Vanessa and Emma with a satisfied smile. "Let's head to the checkout. We have more important things to do today." As they walked toward the register, Monica could feel the weight of the moment. She had stood up for herself and shown the saleswoman the power of treating others with dignity. She wasn't just buying dresses. She was teaching them a valuable lesson, one they would never forget. As Monica walked toward the checkout, the atmosphere in the boutique felt completely different. The air was heavier now, filled with tension and uncertainty. Victoria and Ashley remained standing at the counter, unsure of how to react. They had just witnessed something that completely changed the way they looked at the woman they had dismissed so easily the day before. But Monica wasn't done yet. She wasn't just going to walk away quietly. Vanessa, smiling at Monica's calm demeanor, couldn't help but feel proud of her friend. She had watched it all unfold, how Monica, with grace and confidence, had turned the tables on the saleswoman who had once treated her like an outsider. Now, as they stood at the register, Monica knew it was time to address what had happened head-on. She turned to face the saleswoman, her eyes calm but sharp. "I think we should talk about what happened yesterday," Monica said, her voice steady. "You two were quick to judge me, to assume I didn't belong in a boutique like this. And you made it clear with your attitude that you didn't think I was worthy of your time." Victoria and Ashley stood frozen, their faces flushed with embarrassment. They opened their mouths to speak, but no words came out. They both knew that nothing they said could change what had just occurred. They had underestimated the wrong person. Monica continued, her gaze unwavering. You didn't know anything about me. You didn't know that I've built a successful business from the ground up, that I've worked harder than most to get where I am. You didn't know that I've been through things in my life that would have made most people give up. And yet you thought you could treat me like I was nothing more than someone who didn't belong here. Her words were direct, but they weren't filled with anger. Monica wasn't there to get revenge. She was there to make a point. She wanted them to understand the consequences of their actions. You assumed that because of how I looked, or because of the way I dressed, I didn't fit into your world, she continued. But the truth is, that's your mistake. People aren't defined by their clothes or the assumptions others make about them. We're defined by who we are and what we've accomplished. Victoria and Ashley both looked down at the floor, their shoulders slumped. They couldn't meet Monica's eyes anymore. The guilt was clear on their faces, and they knew they had been wrong. They had made a snap judgment, one that had cost them not just a customer, but a valuable opportunity. Monica took a deep breath, the weight of the moment settling over her. I don't expect you to apologize. I don't need your apology. What I want you to take away from this is a lesson in respect. Treat people with dignity, no matter who they are or what they look like, because you never know who you're dealing with. You never know who might be the one to change everything. She paused for a moment, letting her words sink in. Then she gave them one final look. I hope you'll remember this lesson, and I hope you'll treat everyone who walks through these doors with the respect they deserve. No one should ever have to prove their worth just because of how they appear on the outside. With that, Monica turned away from the counter, walking towards the door with Vanessa and Emma following closely behind. As they left the boutique, Monica felt a sense of calm wash over her. She had stood up for herself, and in doing so, she had shown those saleswomen the true meaning of respect. The lesson had been delivered, not with anger, but with grace, and Monica knew that it was one they would never forget. Monica walked out of the boutique, the warm afternoon sun greeting her as she stepped into the street. The feeling of satisfaction was slowly replacing the frustration she had felt the day before. She had made her point, and she knew the saleswoman would never forget this lesson. But what made the moment even sweeter was the knowledge that she had handled it with grace, without letting anger or frustration get the better of her. As they walked down the street, Monica, Vanessa, and Emma chatted about the dresses. Vanessa was still amazed at how Monica had turned everything around. I can't believe how calmly you handled all of that, Vanessa said, shaking her head. You've definitely taught them a lesson they won't forget. Monica smiled, feeling the weight of the past few days slowly lift off her shoulders. It wasn't about getting back at them, she said. It was about showing them that judging people based on how they look or where they come from is not just wrong. It can cost you everything. Sometimes people need to learn the hard way. Emma nodded, agreeing with Monica's words. You really showed them. They didn't know who they were dealing with. Monica couldn't help but laugh. They never do, she replied. But that's the point. No one should be judged by their appearance. Everyone has a story, and you can't make assumptions about people based on what they wear or how they look. The world doesn't work that way. As they continued walking, Monica's phone buzzed in her pocket. She pulled it out and saw a message from the owner of the high-end boutique she had spoken to earlier. The message was short but clear. We're interested in working with your brand. Let's set up a meeting soon. Monica smiled to herself. Her plan had worked even better than she had imagined. Not only had she sent a message to the saleswoman, but she had also planted the seed for future business opportunities. The boutique owner, seeing her professionalism and determination, was now eager to partner with her brand. It was proof that taking the high road and handling the situation with dignity had led to something even better than she had hoped for. She turned to Vanessa and Emma, showing them the message. Looks like we've got another win, she said. I'm excited about this new opportunity. It's amazing what can happen when you stay calm and stick to your values. Vanessa smiled. "You're unstoppable, Monica." Monica felt a sense of pride wash over her. She had faced the challenges of the boutique with confidence and turned what could have been a humiliating experience into something that would benefit her in the long run. It wasn't about revenge. It was about teaching a lesson, standing up for what she believed in, and turning negativity into something positive. As they continued their walk, Monica couldn't help but think back to her earlier days, to the long hours she had spent building her business. Every challenge, every setback, had led her to this moment. She knew that she had earned her place, and she wasn't going to let anyone make her feel small again. The saleswoman might have thought they had the power, but Monica had just shown them that respect and integrity were the true keys to success. The lesson had been learned, and Monica knew that this was only the beginning of her journey. With confidence and determination, there was no limit to what she could achieve. And as she walked into the future, Monica knew one thing for sure: no one would ever underestimate her again. The following week, Monica received a message from the boutique's manager. It was a formal invitation to discuss what had happened the day she visited. At first, Monica hesitated. She didn't need an apology from them, nor did she expect one. But then she realized that perhaps this was another opportunity to continue the conversation about respect, professionalism, and the consequences of assumptions. She agreed to the meeting, setting a time to meet the manager at the boutique. As she entered the store once again, she was greeted by the manager, who looked slightly nervous but professional. Victoria and Ashley were standing nearby, their faces red with embarrassment. It was clear that they had been told about the impact of their actions. "Monica," the manager began, his voice calm but sincere, "I want to apologize for what happened last week. After we spoke to our staff, we realized that their behavior was completely out of line. We understand now that treating you that way was unprofessional and unacceptable." Monica nodded, listening quietly. She had expected an apology, but what mattered more to her was that they understood the lesson. She wasn't there to humiliate them. She was there to ensure they understood why their actions were wrong. The manager continued, "I've spoken with Victoria and Ashley, and they're both deeply sorry. They now realize the mistake they made and have promised to treat every customer with the respect they deserve, no matter who they are or what they look like." Monica looked at the two saleswomen, who were both standing quietly, their heads bowed in shame. She could tell they had learned their lesson, but she also knew that the most important thing was that this lesson would stick. "I appreciate your apology," Monica said, her voice steady but kind. "But what's most important is that you understand the deeper issue. It's not just about a dress or a customer. It's about how we treat each other. Judging someone based on their appearance or background is a mistake that can cost you far more than a sale. I hope that going forward, you'll remember that." The saleswoman nodded, their expressions sincere. "We really are sorry, Monica," Victoria said softly. "We didn't think about it that way, but we see now how wrong we were." Ashley added, "We've learned so much from this experience. We'll do better, we promise." Monica smiled, feeling a sense of closure. She had made her point, and now it was clear that they had learned from their mistake. It wasn't about making them feel bad. It was about making sure they never treated anyone else the same way again. She stood up to leave, turning to the manager one last time. "I appreciate your willingness to address this, and I hope you take this lesson seriously. I'm glad to see the changes being made, and I trust you'll continue to build a culture of respect here." As she walked out of the boutique, Monica felt a weight lift from her shoulders. She hadn't just stood up for herself. She had stood up for everyone who had ever been judged unfairly. It wasn't about getting revenge or even about proving something to anyone. It was about showing that kindness, respect, and self-respect were the most powerful tools she had. Monica didn't need to prove anything to the world anymore. She had already done that with her success, her actions, and her ability to turn a negative situation into something positive. She had changed the way those saleswomen viewed their world, and she had done it with grace and dignity. As she walked away, she knew that her actions had made a difference, not just for herself, but for anyone who had ever been looked down upon or underestimated. It was a powerful reminder that kindness and respect were far more valuable than any material possession or momentary victory. And that was a lesson she would carry with her forever.